At the end of the day, it's not selling a car, it's helping consumers, right?
This is the Healey Brothers Show.
We're sitting here, we got Pete Peterson, CEO of Dealers United and Buyers Bridge, Brad Warden, Director of Technology for Healey Brothers, Nicky Paraggio, content creator for us, one of the best we got, does a phenomenal job creating the content and the image and what we want to show digitally. So, I mean, first off, Pete, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for coming down.
Thanks so much.
Your summer's here in New Jersey, New York area. So, just a couple questions. You're one of our, most important partners when it comes to digital. I think all of our spend for digital goes through a good portion of it. You help us do a phenomenal job. And we just want to ask you, so what is it like partnering with us, and how have you enjoyed it? I know we talk to Justin and Alex all the time, so kudos to them. They do a phenomenal job for you. So let you elaborate on Dealers United and our partnership a little bit.
Well, thanks for the partnership first and foremost. I mean, without that trusted relationship, we can't do the things that we do, right? So I think that's the first pillar of everything is trust, right? And it didn't start by getting every one of your stores started. It was a little bit here, a relationship we had with you, right? Me being local in the area, I think all of that stuff matters, and understanding that it is a local community, a local market, and every dealer is different, right? I just happen to know the area and how it kind of, fits. And, the coolest part about starting to represent, a company like Healey, you see the license plate tags, not just on this side of town, but, you're crossing the border in Jersey, Pennsylvania. I was just over in Lake Wallenpolpack. I saw Healey out there, right? So that's what's really cool, when you start seeing that Healey brand everywhere. And that comes from a long time being in the community and doing what's right for, the local market. And so, first and foremost, kudos to you, your team, your parents, everybody that started along the way here, because you guys have laid down some really foundational parts. Obviously, you talked about team. Thanks so much for the compliment there. I think we've done a really good job. We try to really hire slow and find the right people for our culture, and I think you guys do similar side. You could see a lot of that in just the enthusiasm. I just serviced my car here the other day. Came up here from Florida and obviously needed the works done on there. And man, from the text messaging, the follow-up, just the focus on the customer, you could tell was there. When I came up, the greeter, the 360 walk around on the video that's there to capture the customer's car and condition and everything. You could just tell the attention that's going on. And even to the fact, I think 4 people asked me if I wanted a coffee, right? Like it's rare to get someone.
We got the good coffee here though too.
You got great coffee, actually. Espresso machines, everything, it's all laid out, nice waiting area. It's nice. That's what people want. You're spending time here. And the best part was, I think I was, wrapped up in just over an hour, all done. I had to get the tires rotated. I had a couple other things I wanted to look at. So it was an in and out experience, which is great, so no one wants to sit in a dealership forever. But the waiter area is nice, and you have all the amenities.
Did you wait inside or outside?
I waited inside this time. It was getting a little, we've had those days where one day it's 96 degrees and the other day it's 55. So
yeah, because I love that outside seat.
Yeah, our little lounge here.
It is awesome. I sat there the last time I was up here. So last summer I had the outside, and I actually took some conference calls there. And then you got Wi-Fi, so that's the currency today, right?
That's definitely the currency.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm glad you had a great customer experience. We always love to have you here and hang out. So, where do you see the customer experience journey going digitally? What does that customer want to see from the Healey family, or when Nicky's creating something for us? He has an eye for it too, but we relay messages back and forth and ideas. Where do you see the importance of it, and I guess, what are they looking for, and how are we going to tailor our message to help them?
Well, we're in a really pivotal point in the industry right now with EVs coming to market. Lots of education is needed. And, at the end of the day, it's not selling a car, it's helping consumers, right? And I think it's that nonstop focus on just education and content right now that's going to help people understand, like, what's right for me. How do I put a home charger in? Do I need one? Where do I charge my car if I get one, right? So just answering the simple questions that we take for granted. And if you sit in here and you just walk around with a sales rep, I guarantee they're getting, question after question. Your front lines are the critical component of everything. Listen to what's being said on the phone, on the sales conversations. Walk around, like get back on and actually talk to consumers and just listen to that pain that they're going through. I think as content creators, it's critical that we sit there and experience the customer journey and know that it started months online ago, right? With their just complete confusion of all this information out there, from car and driver to Edmunds to everyone telling them what they think they can or cannot do. But at the end of the the day, it all comes down to what happens in the finance department, where you can actually afford to drive half the time, right? So I think people, now we were just talking right before we started shooting here, EV tax credits, plays or doesn't play. It's so confusing right now. The government didn't help us out in any way with the way they wrote these laws. So there's just a great opportunity to go back to what we do, and that's people helping people. And I think when we focus on those things and just understand that we have to deliver those, digitally now instead of just face to face, it's about building that trust online so that they trust us and come in wanting to do business with us, not like fearful that they're gonna, get robbed along the way because they don't know enough information. So I think where consumers had a ton of information in the last 4 or 5 years, they're kind of going back to the way it was, I'll say the early internet days, especially with the simplifying things, right? And so how can we produce content that just says, hey, if you're driving an F-150 now, why would you consider even going to the Lightning? Why would you do that, right? And just helping someone understand, is that the right move for them? Because we know a Ford buyer is very loyal, right? So starting in the Ford family of products, how do I help someone just go from ICE to EV? Or just stay on ICE maybe, right? And then what are my hybrid options, right? If I'm not ready to go that way. And so I think there's just, it's taking, what's great is, as dealers, we have great products to represent, right? We have these beautiful pieces. I say it's the second best product in the world to merchandise, right? I won't tell you what the first one is, but you can use your imagination. But vehicles are so beautiful when you look at them and you kind of, take it in. So you're drawn into them naturally. But people have not experienced the new, acceleration of an EV. They haven't been inside of the new
technology,
the technology updates that you get, going even with the ICE vehicles now. It's just crazy. So I think we just have to bring people in and give them virtual test drives and give them that experience. And that happens by literally just, doing a lot of content, walk around, simple things that we've done in the past.
Yeah. So Nicky, right before you jumped on, you literally touched on it. We talked about problem solving. If you want to touch on that a little more, what you're talking about.
That's a way that I've gotten it to some of our other careers to do it as well. But it's you start with a problem, give them a solution, and promise to fix it.
Yep.
A problem can be as simple as hey, I don't think I can drive that far in an EV. But it's that's not necessarily true. And they're always oh, well, they lie about the EPA estimates. It doesn't go as far, but that's also not necessarily true as well.
Yep.
I did a full driving review of an Ioniq 6. It's a newer EV.
Yep.
They don't know what the inside looks like. They don't know how it drives, how comfortable it is. They don't know anything with the technology or the driving. I was on 50% battery and I had over 150 miles left. The EPA estimate for Ioniq 6 SEO with the 20-inch wheels is 270. That's putting me at 300 miles of driving with what the car was giving me. So I was actually higher than the EPA estimate at the time. And within that, a lot of technology that people haven't had that's in most EVs is autonomous, not necessarily autonomous, but some sort of self-driving on the highway. You turn on lane keep assist in the Ioniq 6, and they didn't even market it when I was reading it about what exactly this vehicle has. And it starts to steer itself on the highway.
Yep.
All on its own. And the drive and the acceleration, just the comfort for everyday driving in an electric car is not even close to any gas car.
And then you did it on the 4xe too.
I did it on the 4xe as well. So you have your regen braking, so it makes it very easy to stop. Really comfortable, really easy to stop. Obviously the 4xe did have gears, so you felt shifting, going up hills, down hills, and whatnot. But Ioniq 6 has none of that. Something most consumers don't know about it is one pedal driving.
Yep.
So Hyundais are a little special with that, where they have paddle shifters for you to lower and higher the amount of the regen braking.
Yep.
So when you go all the way to max level, which is level 4, it turns on and pops up on your infotainment display saying iPedal driving. So now you don't have to touch your brake at all. You're just coming on and off the accelerator.
Yep.
So that whole driving review was about the information of it.
100%.
People
regenerative braking even.
You're solving a problem.
Don't understand, and they don't care necessarily about all those features. My wife hates it. I hate to say it, I own a Tesla as well, right? And I was an early adopter on
Those are fighting words in this room.
You know what? I think they're a great staple of what it can be, right? They've really nailed the experience end to end.
It copies them.
And I think that, every manufacturer, and you even see now with the charge ports and stuff, starting to standardize a little bit more on they've got a great network in place. It sits there.
Phenomenal.
I never feel uncomfortable driving that I'm going to run out of battery because I know there's one at any Wawa, right? It's just pull in a Wawa and you're good to go.
Range anxiety is what a lot of people are freaked out about with the EVs. I know that, our company has shifted for our customers to have customer experience guides. Those are typically the first people that our customers will interact with. Previously to 5-10 years ago, it was a business development center, and they were a business development representative. We've changed that model. We want to help guide people through this experience because there's so many questions out there that customers are unsure of, especially with electric vehicles. How far can I go? I go to I drove to Newark this weekend, and a buddy of mine's got a Tesla, and he's like, before the game, he's stopping at a Wawa for 45 minutes to get charged because he didn't get the full charge at the house later that night. So he's like, oh, I've got to run. Can you come pick me up at the Wawa so I can charge? So, range anxiety for our customers, I think that's some of the content that we really need to get out there is interview people like yourself, what your experiences are. Interview people that have those EV6s and actually understand from them, let them help guide other customers with that experience of, hey, this vehicle is really going to be a good fit for me.
I think it's a great secondary vehicle still for many cases, right? It's a good, if you have two cars in the household.
Local driving.
Local driving's amazing. I mean, you could run forever on it, and you'll never not need your home. If you have a home charger, you just literally throw it in. It's done by the time you wake up, and you're good to go. I think the inconvenience is that 45-minute wait, which they're trying to get down, right? Of how do you get going again? I drove mine from Florida up here, and it was a nightmare, right? Like I will tell you, I also have one of the earlier editions of the Tesla, SUV, and it doesn't get much range. It says 220. I might get 150, we'll call it, right? So that was really annoying, right? But ultimately, the manufacturers know those problems. They're going to fix it. This is the same thing that happened with chips in computers. Every year, they're going to get smaller, and they're going to double in capacity for the next 10 years because there's too much investment being made around it. So, I think, again, it's just you guys have been mentioning so many things that I don't think consumers have any clue about. And so that's where I would start. There's a wall. There's the dealer knowledge, and there's the early adopter knowledge of EVs. There's only so much evangelizing I can do, even being a Tesla owner, and I've been in pretty much every EV. They're all awesome now. Doesn't matter. Just pick one, go in it. And I would encourage consumers, just go on a test drive. And I think what we're going to probably see is, dealerships are only being visited less than 2 times now. We might see that go up to 4 or 6 over the next couple of years because people want to explore. They want to go back in, right, and see what the cockpit feels like. They want to go on a test drive again and actually see what is this car about, right? And this is a whole new model. I mean, think about all the new companies too coming into market. Lucid, who are these guys? What's going on? What's the competition to it? Should I consider that, right? You've got all these different things happening that are, Rivian, who are these people, all right? But then you got the dealer side, and again, you still need your car serviced. You need someone to be helpful. You need someone to walk you through the experience. I mean, and simple things, right? If someone has CarPlay, they're probably not used to the new CarPlay, which is all air driven. You don't even have to plug it in anymore. We're doing full wireless charging, full, and that was I have the new Ford Expedition Platinum, and it has autopilot on there. You wouldn't even think that's an ICE vehicle, and they're starting to migrate a lot.
Bradley's got a new Expedition as well for the fam. So
yeah, it's awesome. I mean, if you have a family, especially
he's got a full army.
Expedition Max is the way to go.
He's got a full army. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, our team has to be problem solvers, even small. So Nicky and his team, they created a small video where I think it was Joel created the video with the water bottle, just showing that there's certain water bottles and how certain brands have it. And the video just took off. A simple concept like that, just showing simple features and not just problem solving for that and features of a car, what a consumer wants to know. They also want to hear about your dealership. They want to hear about certain employees. They want to hear a message. They want to hear other customers talk about the process of how it went. And they want to hear what they think about that car. There's nothing stronger than a consumer's word of mouth over us saying, yeah, it's great when we say it, we understand it, we really teach them about it. But a customer saying, or Brad coming in, talking about how much he loves the Expedition. He can carry around his army of children to all their soccer events and sporting events, the gym all the time. That sets with other consumers like yourself that have a family, oh my God,
it's real because it's real.
It's real.
I mean, I think other content's following a day in the life of people, right? Literally taking your content and say, hey, would you, for X, whatever the compensation is going to be, would you be okay with us filming some of that and take a family of 5 or 6, whatever, and see how that you can't fit in a small SUV or a car, right? And so you go through that, you show the water bottles, you show, these things matter, the charge ports. Driving up here from Florida, we take the Expedition because it's just easier than flying. We throw everything in there, the kids have, it is, and I just I just go and
Nicky, we could do that with Marissa.
Yeah.
You could sit with Marissa in the expedition and just
Let's do it.
go to the gym park her off at the gym. She heads over to Sam's Club, does a shop in there. Goes to Adams, loads the car up full of groceries, and picks them back up at the gym and heads back home.
And that's a problem and solution that I've touched on in many vehicles is growing families.
Yep.
And they're trying to wonder, like, what size vehicle am I going to fit best in? And like that Max compared to a regular Expedition comes in handy a lot. You got a little bit extra leg room in certain portions.
Well, even the funny thing, can I fit it in the garage, right? Like, pulling one in, I had to go with the smaller edition because I'm in an HOA that you have to have your cars inside every night. And the Max didn't even fit in the garage that we have at our house. So I wanted the Max, and then I took it home, and I'm like, I gotta get the smaller version of this,
Brad needs a bigger than Max. I think Brad needs a larger set.
But and obviously we got payment. We got, what happened during COVID, a lot of the manufacturers started, raising the rates, especially on the SUVs and the trucks, right? So payments are an issue, and now we got higher interest rates. So I think just helping people understand, their trades are still worth money, showing them those things. And the basics matter, guys. It never stops. It doesn't matter. And, going back to like Ogilvy, one of the best advertisers, he was famous for running the same ad for 19 or 20 years straight, never changing it. And he goes, look, I build ads for a new mom. You're only a new mom for a period of time, so it's only meaningful there. You're only buying a car during a period of time. So what you used a year ago might still work now. It probably still does. All the same things are there. People have the same exact questions when they come into that, right? Is it right for me? Google did a great study of the 5 key questions. Can I afford it? Is this car right for me, right? All of those types of things. I think you could add a couple more by interviewing some consumers and stuff and just creating those and showing them like, yeah, this car is right for you. And just like every dealer is different, right? Every consumer is different. Their finances are different. Their family's different. Their commute is different. So it is really truly going through like a configurator and starting to go through there. And I would try, again, content wise, running. There's a lot of really great quiz software out there, and you can configure these quiz software and run Facebook ads into them and help people pick what car is right. So you take all the cars that you have, and basically through the engine, you say you might consider these 2 vehicles. So now they're helping themselves. Like, is ICE? You could do one. Is ICE or EV better for me, right? And you go through a couple things. How long is your commute? Do you where do you live? What's your energy cost, right? And you can do kind of like a total cost.
And you're tailoring it to the consumer.
It's all about the consumer. It's answering their question, not your question.
I think that's what the consumer is asking for. They're asking for help in guiding them through this process, not selling them on something.
Yeah, no.
They're asking to be, have an experience where they're, your partners, you're standing shoulder to shoulder with somebody and helping them understand all the options that they have, because there are so many different options.
I mean, in a perfect world, let's face it, right? Dealers would buy malls that are completely failing. They would own every brand in the local market, and they'd put all the SUVs for every brand in one section, and they would let you just get in all of them, right? Why do I want to go to 5 different dealerships, 10 different dealerships? I don't even know my options anymore. I mean, the Kia Telluride, I would have no business ever looking at Kia ever in my life back 5 or 6, 7 years ago. That car is changing the game, they're shifting. All of the what we called the economy lower end cars back in the day are now starting to become highlines, right? And so consumers they don't know what's going on. They don't know the evolution that these guys follow, right? But what has happened is there's a whole new lineup. And it's not just EV, it's everything. So we have to reintroduce, especially with COVID. No one came into the dealership for the past 2 or 3 years. So what we're missing is getting people back in the dealership and creating that community. And it could be just, the old barbecues and stuff like that. But really what it comes down to is just inviting people and say, listen, whether you want to buy or not, it's no hassle. Come, we want you just to go test drive a few cars, see what's right for you and your family, right? Just make us part of your consideration set, because I don't even think they understand what it feels like to be in half these, Lincolns or, the Kias or any of the other brands that you guys have, Mitsubishi, whatever. I mean,
You really can't go wrong with the brand today either.
Yeah.
It's like the technology is all so there. It's really just what you like, what your needs are, and at the end of the day, what you can afford. And
I mean, what car fails 100,000 miles anymore? It's nothing. I mean, it's literally 200.
as long as you take care.
I mean, if you service your car according to the plan and everything else, yeah, that car will do very well, right? And so And we're in a high commuting area here. People are commuting 70, 80, 100 miles a day in some cases up in this area, right? So, I mean, you find that that's there. So people might need to shift their car every 2 or 3 years versus 5 to 7 years, right? So, but there's a lot of new product on the market, right? And I think a lot of people have innovated through these years. So I would just encourage how do we encourage people to come into the dealership, right? It's not about getting a lead, setting even the appointment. It's literally just come on in. Whether you set an appointment or not, come on in. It helps if you set the appointment. I think we have to glorify why someone wants to set the appointment.
That customer, we know when you're coming in, you get that tailored customer experience that we go above and beyond when we have that set up time. You're not wasting your time when you're coming here. You're coming here to get help. Yeah. So when you have that set time, it's always important too, like you said. But I think when we want the consumer to come into the dealership, but at the same time, we have to tailor that digital experience because people are still they're online, they're looking, they want to know about you. They want to have that feeling of being a part of something and saying, I could trust these guys. We talk about trust a lot. And I think that digital experience that we partner with to tell our story, to tell the consumer story, to show our different options. And it's not just always about product. We always say, we don't want to be shoving product down the consumer's throat. Product is important. They want to see what you have. But if you don't tell that right story and show trust, I think you're just shooting yourself in the foot there. And I think that's super important.
Well, we're not, these buildings aren't built just to be a building. There's people in these buildings. There's great people in these buildings, and there's legacy that's been around. I mean, you just look at generations. What generation are you now? Third generation. I mean, you don't stay in business by treating the community poorly, right? But the problem is you can't put a press release out that you sponsored the Little League, but you can do those things on Facebook and show and connect with people that are also interested and have kids around there and really position yourself. So again, all the things that you do matter. And I think what's great about social is it allows you to not brag, but just get your story out there. And, again, our About Us pages, everything we have so much great content. We have so much great history, but it sits there. So you guys do a phenomenal job, building stories around it. And that to me, if you really get into what today's marketing is, it's not about data anymore. The new currency and the new data is content, because the algorithms are now built to take in that content, look at what's in the content, right? So they can see video or text, it doesn't matter, whatever you're doing, picture. They're looking at the imagery that's in there, the people, the age ranges, the color of their skin. Everything can be dictated by the machine learning. And what we may, if you were to go back 5 years ago and say, hey, I want to target someone that has kids, that's this, that's that, you'd have to pick all those filters. Now, if you build content showing a family, it will run to people with families automatically. Their AI on these levels at Google and Facebook and other are so good. So what it comes down to is tell that same story across different demographics, right? Why is the Aviator, they probably built that for 2 or 3 personas, we'll call it, but maybe there's 5 that you find. Tell the stories of each one of them and build the content and make sure that you're showing different faces, different genders, all of that stuff. And, it literally can be the same walk around, same testimonial, and it'll run different to different audiences. And now you don't have to worry about segmentation. It's more about getting that content in the engine, knowing how to budget properly, take a look at some of the metrics, but it's amazing what this thing does. And you just, I just got back from Facebook out in Silicon Valley. So they invited us out. The top performance marketers in the country went out there. So it was a small group of us, and it was amazing. But they were talking so much. They're like, if you have videos of dogs, make videos of cats. The same exact story with cats, and they're saying that in a way that's more open, so you understand what's going on. But take a look at that, and now make copies of all different things that you're doing, and it puts you in a good spot because you don't have to worry about the new story. It's just the new characters that tell the story. So, and we see this with sitcoms. Disney movies are famous for it. Every Disney movie is pretty much the same. It falls into one of 3 story types. That's it. Yeah. And they tell it differently. You got Pocahontas and Avatar, pretty much the same exact movie, but it's told in 2 different ways, right?
So where do you see it, now that you touched on the future, where do you see it going in 5, 10 years, the way we market, the way we tell that story, the content creation? Is it all going to be AI driven with us creating content, or? Yeah,
I think AI, like creating content's crazy because it doesn't have that human connection in there, right? I mean, we get asked questions. It's phenomenal, and it's going to get better and better, and it's probably going to eliminate, it probably can eliminate all of us if we really think about it to the nth degree, right? But I think, again, people want to do business with people. They don't want to do business. I mean, even though, people say, oh, well, what about Amazon? I never talked to anybody at Amazon. People designed Amazon. because they thought about their bad experiences they had everywhere else and made it easier for people and said, I shouldn't order toilet paper, have to talk to anybody or go through a horrible checkout experience with self-checkout. I could just add it and go, right? So I think there's a combination. We always have to learn, people want speed, but they also want to have trust. That's the biggest thing. And how do you build trust? You can't build it by having something fake be generated through AI on an image that's manipulated and then have someone trust you. To me, trust is built by showing people and having their stories told and people relating to those people. And, I love Apple because Apple, what they do is they do silhouettes on everything. They don't gender bias or anything else. They just put silhouettes in stuff. And you can picture yourself. A silhouette's designed so you can put yourself into that, right? And they do different, body shapes and everything else so everybody can see what that is, but you'll see the product at that point. So how do we silhouette the stories now and just help people get into that? And again, I think it's just taking a look and saying, okay, first, I'll go back to product for one reason, and we can do community and stuff, which is an amazing area, but has any one of your marketers read the spec for the Aviator here? I'm pointing at it because it's sitting outside here. Beautiful car, right? Has anybody actually looked at the core persona on who that car was built from and say, hey, Lincoln, who did you build this car for? Tell us the spec. Who was the ideal customer profile when your engineer sat down? Was it a female commuting? Was it this? There is an ideal one or two people they thought about, and they probably had pictures of this person and everything else. Have we even told that story from our point of view? And you could tell a lot of that by the imagery they use at the OEM level. How we carried that story down and looked at it in our community.
Sure, you talked about the Telluride. I mean, one of the greatest Super Bowl commercials was the Telluride where the father had to go back and get the binky.
Yeah.
I mean, that Kia designed that vehicle for a new family, right? And that's why they did the commercial the way that they did it. Because and that car drives perfectly for a new family.
Yeah. And I know my fiance, the Aviator, it caught her eye right away. She's young, but she's up and coming. She was so worried about, it's a Lincoln though. And my aunt drives it too. So that's what she's worried about. But it caught the eye of a young female. So
the way we solve for that, show the interior first, right? Don't show the badge. The problem with some of these brands, Mitsubishi had a problem with this years ago. I mean, now you look at the new lineup of Mitsubishi. A couple years ago, if we showed a badge on starting frame of the badge with the Mitsubishi logo coming in on a grill, it skipped right away. People were just like, oh, I'm not driving a Mitsubishi, right? Now, so we start from the inside out. We show the tech packages. We show all the other things. And they're like, what is this car? You hook them, and now all of a sudden you show the frame out. Hey, it's a Mitsubishi.
That's so point for customers.
Taking the same thing with Lincoln, because again, it's known for, Cadillac has the same problem, right? It's the old people drive it, and I don't want to have that, and it's not hip. You trust me, Lincoln is going after that younger up and coming market, and they're building the whole feature set if you get in that car.
Building that sex appeal, and that some of the combos they're doing for interior, exterior, the wheels they're doing on some of these cars is you would never think.
So let's talk about one other thing. So you got influencers, right? They're out there everywhere. So Snapchat, TikTok, they have you can go in there. If you just type in TikTok influencer network, you can go on TikTok, have it vetted in your local market. It'll give you a list of people that are here, any demographic you want. You could have them come out and literally give them the keys, and you can have any demographic sit in that car and take it out and have them build content. So they ride along. Now they're posting on their handle with you sub-handled, and you could use that content as well. So don't think about just content being generated internally, right? That you have to shoot it all. You can test out some of those things. Take a little bit of your budget and say, my cousin's a pretty big influencer. She needs to be helping us out. She needs to come back to New York for a little bit. Yeah, but take a couple of those and test it out on the models like that. If you're having trouble, getting that younger demographic in there, you show it with young people in it, and guess who will buy it? Young people.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a great point. Yeah,
Mitsubishi is a great brand with that. I think the favorite thing that I've seen on interiors of Mitsubishi are their new seats, their leather seats that they offer. They're nicer than, let's say Chevy's leather seats. If I look at a Mitsubishi, it's going to attract me as a younger kid. I'm young. I'm going to enjoy the interior of a Mitsubishi as opposed to...
And the price point.
The price point. Yeah, no, I mean, let's face leather in a Chevy, it's kind of, you're getting up there in price if your Chevy has leather in it. But if you look at a Mitsubishi, their seats are phenomenal.
Yep.
But it's like you said, if you start with a Mitsubishi branding, it might hinder who's going to want to buy that car. But another aspect, maybe where you do want to show the exterior of a Mitsubishi, is they just came out. Remember, Mitsubishi used to be a big rally brand with their Evos. They were a big rally car. Granted, it's not the same thing, but they have their Eclipse Cross where they came out with a rally art. That's specifically oriented to the young person that is into the car community. It comes with all these badges on it. It comes with mud flaps. It has a different suspension. So it's marketed towards that person who's into the car community.
Yep.
And that's not generally your older demographic. That's a very young demographic.
Yeah.
Maybe even people who are younger than myself that are going to be interested, like, oh, I don't want just a regular Eclipse Cross. I like this one. It's got mud flaps. A lot of young kids put mud flaps on their cars. Like, that's what I want.
I used to do it.
Oh yeah.
I was a Mitsu Rallier driver.
I customized everything.
I had mud flaps on my Subaru when I was younger. It was just, you just wanted to do it because it was the aspect of everybody that had a rally car had mud flaps on.
Yeah.
So Mitsubishi went back to the roots, and they're like, let's market a vehicle back towards the younger demographic and put mud flaps back on our car.
And I think, just to touch one last point on this, you guys, you have multiple stores in your dealership group, right? So don't think about building content just for a single store. Think about what I just said with the mall experience of bringing a couple of the SUVs. And it could be Chevy and Ford, because the people who hate Chevy and Ford are the truck people. They're not the SUV buyers.
Exactly.
Right. So you're not going to get someone to switch from a Chevy truck to a Ford truck. Unless it's a price buyer, and that's a used car market side of it. It's going to be price driven. They don't care. They want a truck. It's reliable. They don't care what brand it is, and they're not fighting the fight. Those people that fight the fight, stay away from those cars. Go into the SUVs where the moms are making the decision. Go into some of the other models right now and do the lineup, right? Why would you consider one? You're not choosing one or the other. You're just trying to showcase what both have. And it could be, hey, both of them have heated seats. Both of them do this. Both of them do that.
You're helping them make a decision.
A stupid thing like wireless Apple CarPlay showing someone that and a heated seat in the middle of going into winter and going, you know what? I'm not doing my commute this year the same way I've been doing it. Is the triggering point for them. That's what we're looking at as marketers. Is what's that triggering point that's going to get them off the couch and go take action?
Something as simple as a heated steering wheel. My girlfriend has a heated steering wheel. She won't buy her next car if it doesn't have a heated steering wheel. And she's so used to it.
Crazy as it is, my wife loves that feature. We live in Florida, and she can fit on down there. And so she's told me the same exact thing. She goes, "Don't buy me another one without a heated steering wheel." What? We're in Florida, but in the winter it gets to 60 degrees. She's got to put this here.
So I mean, does anyone have any more questions for Pete or anything like that?
So something with like the marketing aspect, you were talking about Tesla as like a pioneer with certain stuff. Think about their own website, how they have it, how easy it is to customize. Do you see other brands kind of taking that same simplicity to their websites? Because if you go on Chevy's website, Ford's, Kia's, it's all more complex.
Yeah.
If you go on a Tesla website, you can consider like an Apple. Like Apple's very simple when you're on their websites.
Yeah.
Like, do you see like other brands kind of taking that similar approach for simplicity?
Yeah, I mean, I think they should. I'll tell you just a quick story about me. Like the Bronco, I wanted it really bad, like everybody else. And I knew it was coming. I'm obviously in the industry. I had a lot of Ford dealers. I could have ordered it from wherever. And I went online because I thought it had to be done. And I was like, I think I held my pride too hard. I didn't want to go. And we have a good amount of Ford dealers across the country. So it's tough to like pick. And my co-founder is a Ford store, which is right down the street. So normally I'm going to go there. I called up a couple people and I'm like, what do I even get here? And like, oh, just order anything. It's just an order banking. We can fix it later. And I'm like, I felt weird because you're like putting money down, you're doing all this. It was so confusing. There was so many things going on. And then, when I did the Tesla, I literally it was simple. It was a couple choices. That was it. And I think as dealers, we could take the complex configurators and we could break it down and say, for my market, this is what's needed. And you do it by what you order. I mean, let's figure, you guys have a configurator. You know what your market's kind of into. They want moonroofs or they don't. You're trying to look at price options and you kind of know what's there. So I think, you have to simplify things. I mean, I think right now it's just gotten overly complicated. There's too many makes, too many models, too many trims, too many. And people just, I hate to say it, too many choices. They get confused and they do nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
It's crazy. It's crazy how many options you have.
That's why I can almost guarantee anything that sits on the showroom probably sells quick, right? They come in, it's shined up, it looks great. I'll take that one, right? And it's like, okay, move the next one in. If we had a bigger showroom, we could probably sell more that way. But I guarantee these cars move faster than any other car in the lot. Is that an accurate statement, or for the most part?
Yeah, I would say they're the car, and it's just like natural for a consumer to go in there and be like, oh my god, I want that shiny object kind of thing.
Yeah.
They move fast. Obviously, some special cars that we have in the showroom, obviously that's.
Take away the special ones.
It's just like the average car you put in the showroom, it's like shiny out.
But it's also the other thing is that the windows are open, the doors are open. I can go in it and no one's bothering me. I'm just getting an oil change and I'm just walking around, right? Whether you realize it or not, everybody's shopping all the time. Cars are one of those things I don't think you're ever not in market. at the right time, during the right thing or the right frustration or whatever, you could just,
Like that right trigger you said.
I'm just ready to do something. I'm going to LBI this weekend. I'm sick and tired. I don't want to drive this. I want to drive that. And I know today I can probably go in and say, hey, I got my car in service. Would you take a look at it? Tell me what you'd offer. And you could write a deal right now. Yeah. And you don't want to hassle customers as they're in here. But the reason I say that is because that's what we need more people getting into the cars again. I don't think people could buy the cars. You can't buy a $40,000 or $50,000 car.
It's a massive investment.
Here's the thing that the golden secret about Tesla. They don't sell any cars online, but yet they get credit for selling all their cars online. You know how it works? You book a time, you go into a mall, they have 2 models, that's it. Or one for me, it was literally at the time, they literally had 2 models. And it was a black and a white one that I could test drive, and that was it. We went out, they put the fully loaded edition out there, right? That had the highest sticker price. It was the most fun to drive. And then they sit you down at a configurator and they go, okay, let's go through here. And they click the buttons for you. They ask you, okay, do you need this? You need that? You see the price, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. And you put $500 down and it's done. And you do the transaction. So it looks like an e-com, you get your account. So all my notifications, everything else comes through there. But I think that's the thing is we have to create this area where we're consultants, right? And that's what they've done a good job at, is just getting someone to come in. And why? Because the mall, how many people are walking by? They had no clue what it is. They're like, let me just check this thing out. They're sitting in it. They're playing around. Doors are going up. You're like, what? These are falcon wing doors? What the heck are these things? You know? And so people are exploring and they're curious. And that's what I think dealers need to do is you can't sell a car when no one's coming to see the car. Rule number 1, I think, in most dealerships is get on the test drive still, right? Because when you get in there, you fall in love with the car. All the other stuff goes away. And that's what buying a car is really about. It's the fun part of buying a car is getting in it and actually, you know.
And if you see the way the Lincoln dealership's laid out, there's no desks. It's supposed to be that comfort, the ease of, you come look at the vehicles where I will help you out, you relax. It should be an effortless situation. You shouldn't be able to be hassled or forced or feel pressure. You should be able to relax and enjoy the experience. It should be something special. It's your second biggest purchase in your life. You have your home and then you usually have your car. It's expensive.
And many cars.
Yeah, so it's an experience that I think really drives it. The comfortability, not feeling like hassled or pressured, but then that helping experience. It also comes down to our people of how good they are to help that customer make the right decision for them, the right budget, the right features in the vehicle. And I think that's super, super important.
Yeah, I think we've come a long way as an industry from like the 80s and the 90s where it was high pressure tactics.
They say we have.
And I think a lot of those people are out of the industry personally. I think like I've noticed the industry really cleaned up over the last, couple of years. And the brands you represent, they're heavily vetted too. I mean, they don't accept anybody in to own a Ford dealership anymore. You got to be very heavily vetted to get a Ford dealership.
And I think we as a company have taken the steps to help let a consumer experience a guided experience, right? Like that's the guiding somebody along. Same thing with when we joined with your company and partnered up. It was, are you going to help guide us down this path? Because you guys are professionals at digital marketing, social channels. And, that's something that we rely on Allie every day for, is her experience to guide us through this thing. Same thing with you buying a car. We're the expert in helping you guide yourself through that process, giving you those A and B choices and helping you guide through what can be a very confusing thing, configuring that Bronco the way that you want, but with a couple of questions from an experienced employee at Healey Brothers, they could have helped you pick out that Outer Banks package, knowing with a couple of quick questions. So I think that, you're right that our industry has changed, but all industries have changed into a process of helping people guide them through what they're trying.
And there's going to be these price-driven dealerships that are out there that are just going to sell on volume, and it's really not about. It's just you're not going to have a great experience, but you're going to get a really low dollar, and you usually regret it, because you're like, the second something goes wrong, you're like, what do I do with this? And they're not there. They're not a service-based company. They don't care about that. They're literally high volume, just pushing them out. I think you guys have done a really phenomenal job of literally balancing and making sure that people get a great deal. They have a great experience. They're going to get great service. You're going to be there for them, right? And
our goal is to create customer loyalty too, not just the customer like, oh, you had a good experience, but a lot of people that have good experiences, they could shop, but if you create that loyalty to you're there from when they need service, something goes wrong with the car, you're there to help, which is very important. They had a phenomenal experience. You offered that cup of coffee or say, hey, here's the Wi-Fi password, simple things like that, where you're giving them that extra touch. to commit that customer loyalty we talk about all the time. We want to sell vehicles and service your vehicles to your mom, your dad, your grandfather, your sister, your brother, your cousin. And that loyalty is what really makes the difference, I think. And that also, we try to show that in our marketing and our scheme. And you guys have done a great job helping us with that as well.
Think about it, Jay. It works in every industry. What did we just talk about where we're going to go to lunch?
Yeah.
And you talked about, let's go to Limoncello's here in Goshen for lunch. And he's like, I had a phenomenal meal there on Friday with a friend of mine.
I was like,
so it's like, that experience and what happens when you're doing something with a company is huge.
With loyalty, an aspect of experience that, like, my dad's a director in service, and I'll come home, like, I know we may have a customer they may be waiting a long time on parts, they've had a little bit of an issue, maybe they had a recurring problem. We will help sometimes get them out of that vehicle and into a new one. It happens more often than we would imagine.
Especially
it's about, like, you're going through something, you're having a little issue, you're a little unhappy, but you're a loyal customer. So we're going to help you in this situation, and we're going to get you into a new car. And that goes back to the everyone's a buyer. You'll be surprised. Sometimes it's not even about it being a problem. They just might be coming in for an oil change. They may have had the car a little while. They're coming out of warranty. They're coming up on that 4 or 5 year mark, 36,000 miles, whatever they're coming up on. And they're like, you know what? That car's in the showroom, and I'm just going to trade it in, coming in for an oil change, and I'm going to put myself in a new car. So that comes to us with helping them with that experience, and that everyone's always a buyer.
People buy from people they like, right? And we have to show the people that work here, because you know what? They're very friendly people. They're working for your organization for a reason. And I think for years people were worried about putting their staff on camera. Oh my gosh, this or that, especially with salespeople. It's like, if you're scared to put someone on camera because of how they look or act or whatever, then they definitely shouldn't be on your showroom floor. Because what are they doing with your customer out on the test drive and everything else? Like, I mean, so to me, that's a state of, like, we just have a culture problem. And I think, again, dealers are starting to clean it up, and really focus on culture in a lot of ways and make sure people are getting trained. I mean, that's where it goes back to as well. Proper training. What do we expect in our service department? Who greets? Who does this? What happens? What's the process, right? And making sure it's done and audit it. And, I do that while I'm here. I'm auditing, whether you realize it or not. I'm auditing your process. And I'm gonna definitely tell you if I see,
I know.
I'm gonna hear what other customers are saying. And there was a customer that was unhappy about something, and I didn't really get the whole gist of it, but your service advisor worked until that customer was happy and got them a loaner and did stuff. They didn't have one here, but we're shuffling around things, focusing on that individual's attention. And that's what it's about. You know that something's going to happen at some point. You just care that people are going to care enough about you and what you have going on, and understand that you probably have a lot going on, and the last thing you want to be dealing with is a car problem, right? Exactly. And so when we train our staff to realize that they're just having a bad day, this is not what their normal day looks like, and whatever we can do to make this experience better and easier is memorable to them. Even if they don't give us a 5-star review, they go away not being angry. It got handled, and just let them go. That's best than getting into spots. And some things are out of our control. We can't do it. And
I think, I know I'm beyond proud and thankful for everyone that works here, and I think we're such a big, it's our people that make the difference here. Really.
Oh, absolutely.
We go above and beyond and to try to hire the right people, because we want that right culture, to find the right teams. And I'm sure, just like at Dealers United, you pride yourself on your people. I mean, 100%. We love working with the team you set up for us. I mean, I can imagine it's probably as good for every other dealer that works.
We try our best.
And here, I know we strive to have the best people. We try to train them right, teach them the right values, and sometimes, even if they don't have the best training, we're just teaching them how to help people. Go above and beyond. What would you do different to have them give that better experience? Whether they're having that rough day or that bad service, hey, let me get a cup of coffee. I will find you a loader for one of our other dealerships, and we'll get you on the way. And I know it's tough. Just do that extra different thing, and we try to empower them to do that as well. I'm sure.
You know what? There's no classes in high school about, or in college even, customer experience. I mean, no one teaches this. You expect, even parents. It's like you don't teach customer experience, but there is basic things of being polite and the common laws of things that go around. And sometimes we just have to train people how to actually be a member of society and get that start. And remember, we're in control of ourselves. We can't control what's going to happen with the customer. And we just have to imagine, again, I could tell you, because I always put myself in my wife's situation. She's a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids, hustling kids around everywhere. And, it's busy. I do not want her job, just like she doesn't want mine. It's a lot harder job than I have. I can tell you that right now. I'm sitting here, I'm going to go to lunch. I'm not going to have any screaming kids while I'm there. It's amazing. So every little thing is she's already at level 10 probably with stuff. She could have been on the ride over and someone, spilled soda in the back or whatever the case is, right? It's like, what is going on in here? And so just what you have to do is just understand, like, when they walk through that, it's like, we're the professional baseball team, right? And like, they're on our field and we're going to treat them so they feel like they're at a pro stadium. And, you know, when you walk away going, you know, I'm in the backyard of spring training. And when I go down there, these guys are awesome. They're signing balls, they're hanging out. They're totally different than when you go to the big parks here, right? I wish they could be like that all year round. I know they're competitive and they're tough, but like, that's what we want. We just want good, down to earth people that have our back, you know, and I think everybody wants that. We want mutual respect, and, you know, we don't want to feel like someone's trying to get one over on us. And I think dealerships, unfortunately, have had that rap for a long time, from the 50s all the way up to now, right? And I think what's happening is we're changing that, and your generation particularly is going to do that. We're more highly educated now. We went to college. We've been taught by our parents and our parents' parents, and, you know, we've passed the internal knowledge down. And, you know, again, your staff is great because of generations of working that through and building that out and building your rapport. So, you know, I would say you're doing all the right things. There's nothing, when I look at Healey, is like, oh my gosh, there's this magic bullet. It's just remembering that, you know, we're talking to people, we're helping people. These are people in our community. And, you know, you have a walking billboard with your license plate frame everywhere. And the goal is to change it one driveway at a time, which will change the next carport and the next thing. And, you know, but I see a lot of Healey around, and that means that you're doing the right thing. People would not, there's one golden rule when you're selling to consumers. It's real easy to get their opinion. I don't need to send them a 5-star review sheet or anything else. They have one way they show their appreciation, and one way only: their wallet. If they stop paying you, they're not happy. And so we got to look at, you know, our lost customers and potentially figuring out, okay, what happened here, and, you know, digging in and doing some of those things and figuring that out. But again, you can also see that pretty easily in just general metrics. Are people coming in? Is our customer count where it's supposed to be, and everything else? And, you know, I could tell you from just driving around that the 3 states that I've been in for the last little bit, you guys are doing a lot of things right, because there's a lot of Healey Brother tags out there, and it's on a lot of makes and models.
Well, Pete, we appreciate that. We'll wrap it up here and we'll grab some lunch. Thank you for stopping in. I know you're a busy man. And I know we all appreciate it, what your team does for us and helps us out. I mean, not just for the marketing standpoint, but you guys teach us tricks and took the time with our content team, helped them out, brought some things to life, like what we should do more of, what we should mix in there to have that healthy mix and build community. So,
well, this year is you're about 10 years ahead of everybody else. Putting your own content team together, you know, again, it's partnering up, right? Because for us, it's not even about running media anymore. It's about that strategic partnership. Should we be doing? What's the things that we're missing out on? What type of content? Helping be strategic advisors, right, on a lot of that. And I think you guys taking it serious. The dealers we see really taking content serious are killing it. They're just, because what's happened is they're building human connections through it.
I think you're right. I mean, we started this about 8 years ago. If I think the number is right, is about 8 years ago. Drew used to be
the only guy. Drew and Justin we're the only people that were running. So I was like, dude, we gotta do some more.
Well, we started in a really strategic way, because Jay came out of college, finished at NADA Academy, and then he came on board directing our marketing, and we kind of like sat one day. We were like, we need to see, what does this foundation look like? So we partnered with a company that's not automotive, that they're just strictly like social media. They did a deep dive into all of our channels, and we really set the foundation properly, and then started adding the right pieces of the puzzle to come through. And then I think it was 5 years ago, I got a call from Justin.
The one that set
got a call from Justin, and he's like, hey, you know, I want to get in there and meet with you guys. You know, I want to tell you about, you know, Dealers United and what I think we can do for you. And I would say that, you know, this journey's been a really solid one.
When you started with the right way, you're starting to build content just to build content for organic, right? Yeah. And most dealers just take the OEM content and slap it on. It does nothing.
Yeah, we don't even believe in that at all. We want to customize it.
And don't worry about the likes, the comments, the engagement. Just publish every single day, you know, across things. And not everything's amplifiable, I call it, right? So what we look for is what's the amplifiable story that should connect with in-market consumers or follow up with people, and how do we tell that story in different ways, right? And so, you know, just continue to publish. It's the most important thing, you know, and it helps us. You know, again, are we talking to customers right now? here one-to-one, that's a great way of doing it, but I could talk one-to-many all day long right online. And that's the power of the internet, is you don't know who's watching.
No, there's a different demographic, it's a different, you could tailor it to that person too. And you have these different forms of content, and I think it just goes so well. Like, I mean, we learned a lot from you guys. We learn a lot from you guys every day.
But same thing. I mean,
So
most of our strategy comes from talking to lots of dealers and seeing what's working in different markets and idealizing, and then some executing here and doing it well. And then, you know, we want to try to replicate a lot of that stuff, what's working, right? Because we don't want to recreate the wheel all the time. So, you know, again, tap us. We're learning from you every day as well. And we're learning from the platforms. I mean, what we just went out to, they had a lot of influencer-based stuff out there. It was a lot of, you know, people doing Shopify and e-commerce and stuff. And, you know, I'd say again, you know, don't look inside automotive. Look at like unboxing videos and learn about like some of these, you know, backpacks that you know, I hit with an ad of like this backpack that could fit 7 days worth of stuff in it and be like a nomadic backpack, right? And really watch how they build that content, how they use the editing process. I think that's what it's going to come down to, is unique editing about things, doors opening, showing things. Wow, okay, this is the look of everything, and just showing people, you know, around that, and then, you know, really focusing on your people. And I would encourage everybody should publish as much as you can. I don't care if it's the receptionist, you know, just showing, because she's going to greet, and that's part of the process, and it could walk through that whole process. I think my business partner in Sarasota Ford, they do a VIP test drive experience, and one of the things that we encourage them to do is shoot the video of that. Like, put a consumer literally getting out and put a GoPro on their side, and then, you know, have it from two sides so you could do the cut both ways. And it's phenomenal because it's basically showing the exact process you're going to go through. And you come in, there's a board set, there's this, so you have a process. Show the customer of what that's going to be like, and I can almost guarantee their current dealership that they bought their last car from, if it wasn't here, is not doing anything like it. So they're just like, wow, I could get treated like a real...
And they feel comfortable. Yeah. They go there, they're like, they know what to expect. They're going there like, oh, man, this is awesome. Peace of mind. I'm going to get it done like this. It's going to be simple, smooth, and going to get help to make my choice. So
yeah, that's funny he says this. I had a phone call with Sean last week about this exact idea, about connecting a camera to him and walking through our showroom and going through the process of meeting with our like concierge, and even sitting down all the way up until finance. So basically going through the whole process. We had a phone call about that last week.
Well, guys, this has been great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, hit that subscribe button, and follow us at Healey Brothers on all social platforms.